Okay, there, that's a little bit better. So, The Rebel Files is technically the fifth in a series of books. I'm not quite sure what they ever called these. It says on the spine here, let's see whether or not I can get focus to work here. Chronicle books. I don't think the focus is going to work there, but trust me, that's what those two words are there that you see on the spine. And each book has that. And I want to start off my review of The Rebel Files by talking about the behind the scenes of the rest of these books. You've got the Jedi Path, Book of the Sith, Bounty Hunter's Code, and the Imperial Handbook. Now, the Jedi Path and the Book of the Sith came out in 2010 and 2012, I believe, respectively. The Bounty Hunter's Code and the Imperial Handbook both came out second half of 2014, but funny enough, if you look at the back, see that gold banner? Still technically considered legends. So even though these two guys here both came out after the April 25th cutoff date for Legends versus Canon, they're still technically considered legends. Now, I do believe that the Rebel Files is technically considered as canon, simply because it is a treasure trove of references from the canon EU. Things like Inferno Squad, Battlefront Twilight Company, literally the entirety of the run of the main Star Wars line of Marvel comics. Just the main Star Wars comic. Whereas the rest of these really do delve into more Legends-y material, especially Book of the Sith here. Also, the Rebel Files, its little sleeve here on the back, doesn't have its Legends gold banner. So, I do think that the Rebel Files could be considered as canon, at least as much as an in-universe book can tell you. That's a big thing about these guys, is that these books here are designed to be inside of universe books. These are all written by, usually each one is written by many different authors inside of the universe. So like, this is primarily compiled by Mon Mothma's aide throughout most of the rebellion, throughout most of the, pretty much from Rebels all the way through until the Battle of Endor. Now, the quality of this book, let's just put these guys away real quick. The quality of this book is fantastic. I love these kinds of books, especially as somebody who really enjoys the tabletop RPG stuff. The kind of, what's the word? Improv, the spontaneity, and the messiness that tabletop RPGs and immersive fiction like this have to offer us. I'm a big fan of that. It's pretty much just like the other four of these guys, and that is simply that it's a fun inside of universe read. You've got little scrawlings from people inside of the Resistance after they found this book, quote unquote. They found this book, and you've got all these little neat, let's see, let's find a one with a lot of page with a lot of them on there. You can see here, those are printed on the book, but you might be able to see it there on the camera, I'm not sure, but those are printed on the book in such a way that allows you to see what that character was thinking. You've got Leia, Poe, Holdo, I can't remember his name, Sumata? What is his name? Satura. You've got Satura, Holdo, Mon Mothma, Emat, a few other Resistance fighters. I'm guessing that they found this book, just judging from what they're writing and stuff. It seems like they've found this book pretty much a few weeks to up to a couple of years before the Battle of before The Force Awakens, I should say. I was about to say before the Battle of Yavin out of habit. But it's a really interesting to see some of the care that they take revolving around character moments and what that character is feeling at that specific time. For example, on page 50, I'm not going to bother holding this up to the camera, but essentially Admiral Akbar mentions the barbarity of X. I believe an ultimate weapon, it doesn't exist. Yeah, this is as the Rebel Alliance is basically finding out about the Death Star. And Admiral Akbar says, If only I still possessed such optimism in regarding to Mon Mothma's journal entry inside of the book, revolving around basically hoping that the superweapon can't exist. Nobody is monstrous enough to build something such as the Death Star. And here, Leia says, this is probably the biggest character moment in this book. Leia writes, "People are capable of great evil, it's true, but even they are capable of redemption." That definitely makes me think that this is happening well after Bloodline and well after Ben Solo has turned into Kylo Ren, because I feel like that's the first time that we've really gotten confirmation that after Ben turned, she probably changed her tune a lot about Darth Vader and who her father was, because we know in Bloodline, Leia was not happy about it, considering, well, she found out that her dad tortured her to death, or nearly tortured her to death, and stood by and held her shoulder as her dad's friend blew up her actual adoptive home planet. And that one little bit there kind of shows us that after Ben's turn, I feel like that means that Leia kind of grabbed onto Vader's turn that she heard Luke talk about as kind of an anchor point, as a hope that she can bring Ben back. And that one little bit of her talking about even great evil is capable of great redemption, it means something to the character of Leia, and it means something to me as a fan. And this book is completely filled with those kind of character moments. You also get to see Poe in brash, kind of D-baggy pilot mode. Definitely lends some credence to the argument about him having a very dramatic arc in TLJ. In this book, all of his little notes and stuff are very, how should I say it, frat boyish? Oh no, not a T-47. The T-47's handled like crap. And all of that kind of stuff. Oh, and there's even a part where talking about Luke destroying the first Death Star, and he's saying something along the line. He says something like, "Well, I mean, I should have been able to make it if I was going a little bit slower, and if I didn't have fighters on my tail, I could have made that shot." Shut up, Poe. Just shh. It's okay. You can be second best. But anyways, yeah, this book all gives us a lot of little fun bits about how the characters, especially some smaller side characters like Emat and Satura, work, and what their role is within the Resistance pre-TFA. So, in conclusion, who is this book for? Okay? Let's just actually set this up so I stop grabbing it. Who is this book for? Huh? This book is for two different types of fans. And I really do. I don't like, I don't really like quantifying, there's two groups of fans. But in reality, this is kind of truth. You have the fans that don't read all the books and don't read all the comics. Maybe you're a comic person and a movie person, or you're a video games and a movie person, or maybe you're a books and a movie person. Maybe you're a books and a comics person, but the movies never really did it for you. Whatever. And then you've got that first group of people, or people that, enjoy a couple of the different mediums that Star Wars is telling its stories in. And then you have people like me, the insane people who spend way more money than I'd like to admit every single year on buying silly little source books that I'm going to read once and then put up on a shelf and then maybe pull down in like 6 years or something like that. Like, this book alone was $22. This little tiny book probably took me about 2 hours to read, 2.5 hours to read maybe. And that was with doing some basic research and like stopping to Google things that I thought were references and everything. Now, is this book for people that are really big into just the movies or just the games, or, multiple different, only one or two of the different mediums of Star Wars? Honestly, not really. If you're looking for a quick, easy, light read into the Star Wars universe, or rather into the world of Star Wars literature, or you're dipping your toe into the new canon of books for the first time, I would not recommend this. because of its insane amount of references. You're going to get a ton more out of this book after you read books like Lost Stars, after you read books like Battlefront Twilight Company, after you read the comics like the main Star Wars line. You're going to enjoy this book 1,000 times more after you do that. This is a very much rewarding book for that other group of people. If you're in that other group of people, the insane people like me who read and listen and watch literally everything that's got that pretty little Star Wars logo on it, then you should pick this up because this is fantastic. It does have a little bit of that unreliable narrator bit. Different ones of these, like the Book of the Sith one, that's meant to be like ancient history, and not to mention it's also legends. So like the word of the person that is writing excerpt from the Book of the Sith, is not going to have the same kind of trustworthiness as, say, a rebel basically a rebel data entry person or rebel intelligence person, as this book is compiled of. This is almost everything in here is all like official memos and emails in between people, like, to Mon Mothma, Alliance Commander-in-Chief, from General Dondana, Sector Command, subject, X-Wing Flight Patrol Schedule. And then you get, for your review, Flight Patrol Structure. Absolutely everything in this book is done in that kind of language. And because it's told in that kind of language, they can sneak in literally a reference every single page. There's a reference to another piece of canon, basically every single page. That's basically as different from literally, but you get my point. If you are going into Star Wars, if you're trying to take your first step into Star Wars literature, depending on whether or not you want canon or legends, go with something like Lost Stars, or Most Wanted, or even A New Dawn. Something that's a little bit lighter and easier to read than, say, something like a Lucino title like Tarkin, or a less heavy book like, say, The Last Jedi novelization. Pick up something that's a little bit easier to read, something like that. This is easy to read, but you're not going to understand a lot of the references in here. You're just going to be like, what do you mean they're talking about the 61st Mobile Infantry Division? Or Mobile Infantry Regiment? Okay, cool. I guess there was a plan to take out the Kuat drive yards. Well, why didn't they do that? What happened there? Well, that story's told in Battlefront Twilight Company. So, yeah. Overall, it's definitely a buy if you're big into Star Wars, if you're big into the expanded canon of Star Wars. But if you're taking your first foray, put this on your Amazon wish list. Put this on hold at Barnes & Noble or whatever bookstore you go to, and come back and pick it up after you've gotten caught up on the new canon. I didn't narrow drop it. Shut up. Alright guys, that about does it for me. Like I said, good book. Really, really fun book if you're into the new canon. So, I'm gonna get out of here, guys. I'm gonna edit this video. You guys have a wonderful one. As always, may the Force be with you guys. Take care.